Hello crafty friends! So I'm back with part 2 of my December daily for 2018. Here's a little chunk of monk. This is part 2. It is almost as big as her big sister, if not bigger, I'm not sure. There's less dimension in this album, so I was able to get more pages. So part 1 ended at day 9, and then I was able to get 10 through 25 in this one, because again, there's less dimension, so I was able to get a little bit more in here. So here's where we're starting. Here's day 10. Here I had put some modeling paste on vellum. This is a die cut from Colorcast Designs. And then I had found this really fun ornament in Target, and I decided for a change of texture to print this on matte photo paper and not glossy photo paper. And this is a wood veneer number that I painted with distress inks. So that's another tip. If you have numbers that you want to color and you have paints in your stash, just go ahead and paint them. And then my journaling's underneath. This was a digital from Ali, and then I added some chipboard stars and some acrylic stars because I had the star here and then I had the acrylic here. And that's the thing I like to do. I like to repeat elements in a spread. And this is day 11. So day 11 I had just gotten a bunch of mail, so I took a picture of it. I also printed this on matte photo paper, and then I had a pocket on this side, and my journaling is in here. And then I used a bunch of bits from the Made Merry collection from Crate Paper, which was last year's collection. And I like this, having this die cut on vellum, so you can kind of see through what's on the other side. Day 12 is always one of my favorites because I have my Christmas carol. So here's how it worked out. I know I had showed this in my foundation pages, but I just printed the Christmas carols on various sizes, tucked them right underneath, and it works perfectly, and it's my favorite carols of the year. And then I made this using a bit of graphics transparency, and these are just stickers that I had in my stash. Like, I know this one is definitely Merry Days, and this was from Pebbles last year. And I don't remember where this is from, but Merry, Bright, and Fa La La is one of my favorite holiday sayings, so I just used it to create an acetate piece in the middle of this. So here. Is it here? Yes, okay. So here's day 13, and day 13 is the story of my holiday Christmas party. So I have a selfie that I took with some of my favorite coworkers at the party, and then this pulls out. So it is, it is huge. Oh my God, it is huge. Okay, so this pulls out. So I have a big selfie, a picture at the table, another selfie in the bathroom, and then my journaling. I love these cork, like, Starburst piece. I'm really sad that I've used up all of them because I love them so much. And then what I did, so I wouldn't be tempted and feel like I had to back all of it, is I just stuck it on a piece of cardstock, because otherwise I'd have to come up with something to do with all this stuff back here. But if I keep it closed and on a piece of cardstock, then it's just a page, and then I don't have to worry about backing it. So then here's day 14, and day 14 was a day where I studied with my study group, and I cannot take credit for this idea. This is something that Kelly Ishmael did and shared in the December Daily Facebook group, where she, like, punched out circles in this wreath. Also, if you have this paper from last year, this would be a good paper to use for wreaths, or if you have the digital kit, this is a great paper for wreaths. So she had punched out circles and then added some darker paper and then had this be like a flip element. So I did the same thing, and I had just hung out with my study group and studied that day. And this looks like, I love the way that looks when you close it. And then my letter is to my study group. I have so many pictures of studying with my classmates. Okay, so that just broke, so I got to add some reinforcements to it. That's the downside to not using page protectors. Also with this album, because it only has one ring on the top and the bottom, there's a lot of stress on the pages. So after I record this, I'm actually going to go in and put reinforcements on all the holes. I went and I bought metallic reinforcements, so it'll match all the pages, and I'm going to go ahead and top these. But day 15 was about my one little word. So I had my letter board that I had put a phrase on for my one little word. I had my journaling here, and then here's day 15. And then because I wanted this to be next, all I did was back this with the Merry paper and added some acrylic stars, and then I put acrylic stars there, and then that ties the whole page together. Also, this star transparency is like my favorite thing, and I think this is the last piece I had of it, which is why it's a very awkward shape, and now I gotta go find it again. This was also my foundation pages. It was just a cool tag page and I really wanted it in my album. And again, this is why my album is so chunky, because there's a lot of things in it that aren't words or stories. It's just things that I made that I thought were cool and I wanted to put in the album. And then eventually it adds up to something that weighs 1,000,000 pounds. So here's day 16. Day 16, Joshua and I went to the movies. We saw, what did we see? Fantastic Beast. And I love this ephemera thing. And Allie talked a lot about this in the prep party lesson, but I do this every year. I like to add little bits of our life. So I just glued our movie tickets to a tag, layered it on a bigger tag, added my number. Here are some more tags, because tags on tags on tags. And then this was a Feed Your Craft card that I typed my journaling on, a bit of cardstock, and then stuck it in, because I don't trust myself to print directly on these cards, and I would hate to have ruined it by doing so. So here's day 16. I think I'm going to definitely do this again next year, because Joshua and I go to the movies a lot in December, just because I'm out of school and I have more free time. And I love having the movie ticket because I know exactly what we saw. Last year we saw Coco, and I have the movie ticket for Coco in my album, and so I cannot wait to do that again this year. Here's day 17, which is stuck to itself. The digital kit that Allie released for last December had this phrase, other stuff happens in December besides Christmas, here's one thing. And last year I had decided to redo my craft area. So Joshua and I went to IKEA on day 17. Oh, I had enough of this star transparency to punch out a circle. So there's a picture of him at IKEA. Here's my journaling. And then I did a before and an after I tidied it up. And I love having, like, you know, these small little peeks at like real life in the middle of the crafting. This is from the Joy digital kit, and it was a card that said make more joy over and over. And I decided to do a mid-month check-in and do another letter to Joy. So I wrote, again, another letter to Joy. And then here is another picture of me by my tree, because whenever I don't have a photo for the day, me hanging out by the tree is the photo that I go to. It's my default setting. And then I had this plastic die cut that says magic, and I layered the gold 18 over it. These small numbers are probably my favorite numbers to use when I don't want to have a huge impact number, because they're gold, so they stand out, but they're tiny, so you can put them anywhere. And this is just a really simple spread. This whole page probably took me like 5 minutes to put together. The hardest part was probably getting the journaling the way I wanted it. And then the whole page probably took me like 5 minutes to put together. So I love having simpler pages like this in the middle of all the other stuff. So for day 19, I told the story of Josh and I finally getting our wedding thank you cards. We were very bad, and it took us a very long time, but we finally got our wedding thank you cards. So that was day 19. And then I stapled the large cork number to this. This is a cut file from Amy Jo Vanderbrink. Her name used to be Paper and Spool. I think it's the Van B Life now, and you can get them on her blog. She released a similar one this year with ornaments, so I might go grab it because I like to use these. And I just backed it with different rows of glitter paper, put my number on top, and then here is our card, and then my journaling, which is pretty private, so I'm not going to open it. My journaling is on the inside of this card. For day 20, I was wearing our wedding Converses, and I thought that would be a cool story because I told a story about it last year in 2017. Joshua and I got married in matching Converses, and I happened to be wearing our Converses, so I did another little bit of journaling about it because it's a year later, and I thought it'd be cool to go back and see what I was thinking about these sneakers compared to what I was thinking about the sneakers in 2017. I love the idea of having repeating stories or having elements that come back up over time, because your thoughts and your feelings about these things change as you change. So maybe in 2019, I'll put the sneakers on again and write a letter to them again, and we'll see how I'm feeling about them 2 years later. Here's day 21. This was from the Light Story Kit. It's a digital piece from the Light Story Kit, but I love the hexagons with the hexagons. So you see, I was on Team Hexagons before Team Hexagons was cool. This is also a cut file from Amy Jo. So the same place where I got the star piece, you can get this one. And then these hexagons were in last year's December Daily Kit, which is what inspired me to make this hexagon page. And I love the way this works out. So the 21st is the winter solstice, and on the winter solstice the last 2 years, what I did was I did a little bit of faith journaling. So I wrote about the real meaning of Christmas. So I did the same thing. I wrote a letter to the day of longest night about faith, and I had my scripture reference, Isaiah 9:2. And then guess what? Another picture of twinkling lights. I love these like dark twinkling light pictures because they're just, I don't know, they're so easy to do when you have nothing else, and they're so high impact. Like, I love them so much. So on day 22, we're kind of shifting gears because I traveled for Christmas last year. So day 22 is a little bit about my traveling day. My flight got delayed, I want to say 7 or 8 times while I was sitting in the airport all by myself trying to get to Georgia. And I do not fly well on the best of days. I get very anxious. So then having my flight be delayed 100 times did not make the situation any better. And I was just texting my cousin like, yep, still not getting on this plane. Still not getting on this plane. So what I did, if I can get it out, is I have all the I took a screenshot of all the text messages from American Airlines about my flight being delayed or my gate being changed or everything else. And then I just did some journaling on the back of it. And that is here. So there is a pocket, if I can figure out where it is. There is a pocket between these two photos. Here it is. There's a pocket between these two photos where my journaling lives. And then I put this little wood veneer die cut here, here, and then here to tie the page together, but also so I remember that there's something here. And that sits right there. So that's another idea. If you have big photos and you need a space to hide journaling, put it between the page before. So it requires a little bit of foresight before you stick things on to remember that you want to make a pocket, but they're really easy to make, and then they help with not having a bunch of bulk from having journaling and stuff everywhere. Here's another one of my favorite pages. On day 23, we went grocery shopping, and I hadn't seen my cousins up here. That's my mom, so that's me and that's my mom. I hadn't seen my cousins up here in like maybe 4 or 5 years, so going grocery shopping with them felt like when we were younger and we would have sleepovers, because when we would have sleepovers, our parents would send us to the supermarket and just tell us to grab snacks, and we would buy so much junk food, and then we would come back and they'd be like, so what are you guys actually eating? And all we'd have was like chips and cookies and marshmallows and no actual food, and this felt just like that. So I did a little bit of journaling to my family, because this was the best day. Like, now that I'm looking at this again, I just want to cry because I miss them so much. I, again, haven't seen them since Christmas because they live in Georgia. She lives in Vegas. And I didn't have any time to travel with school and everything. That's the upside to almost being done with school, is I'm finally going to get to go see my family and do the things. So on day 24, we had professional pictures taken as a family. So my cousin dragged us to this park, and it was cold, and we all wore red, black, and white, and we had professional pictures taken. And when we went back to the house, I made everybody get on the couch, and I set up the self-timer on my DSLR, and we took like a family portrait. And here, here's one of the bloopers, because no one takes anything seriously. So we have a bunch of pictures like this where no one's looking at the camera and people are doing silly things, and then we eventually got one decent one. And then here is the rest of day 24. When we went to do the photo shoot, I begged the photographer to let us do a picture where everyone was jumping, and the rest of my family didn't go for it. But all of my younger cousins, if you can tell, that's my dad, that's my mom, and then everyone else is all my younger cousins. They were all ready. So we all, he's my favorite. I love him so much. We all did the jumping picture. And what I did was I put this back to back on a piece of transparency, so it doesn't, you can still see that it's a full picture, and then you can do the flip out here, and then you can still do the full picture on this side, and there's not something like interrupting the continuity of the picture. And then this is from Color Cast Designs that I put on a transparency from Allie. You can't really tell, but it says it's upside down. Oh, I am terrible. In really light blue text, it says things like peace and light and let it shine. But I just realized that it's upside down because it was so faint that I didn't look at it. So I got to see if I can take this off. I probably can't. Never mind. It's staying in here upside down. But the text, you should be able to read it if you didn't put it in the album upside down like I did. And here is a letter to Santa. So Joshua and I wrote letters to Santa about our thoughts and feelings. This Christmas was pretty rough for us because his dad was really sick, and so that's part of the reason why I didn't stay in Georgia as long as I did. Like, I came home on the day after Christmas so I could go spend time with him and his family. So we wrote a little bit of letters about, yeah, his is really, really short. Like, it's just his feelings about what was going on. And this is a feature craft die cut. It's a stamp that I turned into a die cut, and then I backed it and added some pom-poms. And then here is day 25, and I actually have a process video for this if you want to see how I did it. I created a photo wreath because I had so many pictures from day 25. We got matching pajama shirts as a family, and it had all of our names in the shape of a Christmas tree. And so I dragged everyone in front of the tree and took a million pictures, and then I had no idea what I was going to do with them. And so I made a photo wreath. I cut them really, really small. Like some of them are literally like 1 inch wide by 2 inches or 1 by 1.5. Created a photo wreath, and then because I had the red, black, and white circles, I matched it with here, put my 25, and then I'm ending the album with a photo tree of just pictures from later in the day. And then this is a bag that I stitched together with some wrapping paper, and all of my Christmas cards are in here. Josh and I don't get very many Christmas cards, so I like to keep them in the album. So I just stitched some wrapping paper together with some gold thread into a bag, and that's where my Christmas cards live. So that is the end of 2018. And now these albums, after I add reinforcements to the pages so they don't fall out, these albums can now go on the shelf. So here is the totality of my 2018 albums. I am really hoping that 2019 is not this big, but I love this project. I love this labor of love so much, and I'm so happy that it's done. So that's all I have for now, crafty friends. I'm going to attempt to record process videos during 2019 season so you can see what I'm up to, and then I'll obviously have a flip through of 2019 when it's over. So happy December daily season. Let's tell some stories together. Until next time, keep it crafty, friends, and have the best day.